Hello, this is Krill. The Civ I'm about to play isn't actually Pit Boss 15. This is actually a micro challenge that SevenSpirits posted on the Realms Beyond forum. The aim of this little test is, well, it's not really a test. The aim is to play out the first 31 turns of a game, and just to show what you can do with it. It's on quick speed, so costs are 2/3 of normal. So really this is like playing to turn 45 on a normal speed game. And the settings are fairly straightforward. It's Catherine of China, which is creative imperialistic, so borders will pop after 3 turns, 2 turns for the capital. And settlers are really cheap. China is like the best civ for starting techs. Agriculture, mining, the most flexible pairing that you can get. Obviously, it's a short game. It's only a short little test, so short scenario. So the unique unit and building don't count. However, the scenario is that we're supposed to be playing out is for well, you are playing a 5-player PBEM played by email game on Realms Beyond. The map has been randomly rolled. It looks like it's randomly rolled on a Taurus World map script. That is a very important point because different map scripts, map sizes will all affect what you'll do. In fact, even knowing your opponents or what civs they had and what leads they had would vary how you play out a start. With regards to if you could go for a religion, if you could get a wonder, how light on military you can run. So these are all very important points, but they aren't actually stated. So this isn't like a definitive. There is one best way to play it. You've just got to consider these things. Tech trading and barbs are off. That does mean that you can run lighter on military, and communication with other players is not allowed. Doesn't matter either way, because that games can still be quite aggressive or quite peaceful. Again, it would depend on the person you're playing you were playing with. But this is just a single player scenario setup. So it's not like there are humans controlling the civs here. They are actually AI civs. So basically you just ignore them. So the other part of this is that we've actually given a screenshot of the starting land without the fog of war, and that was part of the setup, that you can actually look at the entire map before playing it, so you know exactly what to do. This is a very important point, and that is because when you look at this start here, if you were to pick leader or civs after seeing this start, you wouldn't necessarily pick. Well, you would be happy to pick China. You would potentially be happy to pick Catherine. Yeah, but the moves that you would do are actually very, like, the moves that you would do without extra knowledge are very different to what I'm going to do here. Because, for example, I'm going to move the settler down because I know there's a wet corn and a banana. The warrior just doesn't matter. The warrior, you can literally just scout around, but because there's no reason to get map knowledge, because we already have good map knowledge from the scenario. Yeah, might as well just keep the warrior at home. Now, there's a few things that SevenSpirits wants us to do when we post our playthrough. One is like describe the reasoning behind your choices. Well, I'm actually going to explain them here now while speaking because I'm lazy and I can't be asked to type stuff out anymore. We also have to show several screenshots. Those I will take and I will post. Provide an ordered list of the text you research. That's not a problem. I can explain it now because I've already had several playthroughs of this to see what works and what doesn't. Provide an ordered list of what things you build in each of your cities. Again, it's not a problem. You'll see it here anyway, but I'll also write them out. Note the turns on which you finish builds and on which your cities grow. I hate paper pushing exercises, but so be it. And then provide a link to a Google spreadsheet showing detailed instructions for reproducing your plan. And it's like, it takes longer to actually write that thing out than it does to do like 5 playthroughs. Anyway, I'll go on with this now. Now, the most important thing to note is that you can get a 4 output capital. So if you settle on the Plains Hill, you can get 2 food, 2 hammers, and 1 commerce. Settle on banana, 3 food, 1 hammer, 1 commerce. It's actually better to settle on the banana here. It helps growth to size 2, 3, 4, and onwards, and so it helps snibble slightly. The cost is that you're settling on a 5 yield tile, but it's only 5 yield once you get calendar. That's so far in the future that it's a toss up what you want to do. It's perfectly legit to settle on it. I also think it's legit not to, because there's reasons for both. As it is, I'm going to settle on it because I value these 2 traits, imperialistic and creative, as early game traits, and you need to use them as much as possible early on. Now the other point is imperialistic. There's 2 things that I like to do with imperialistic. One is get an incredibly early settler, something like worker to settler, size 1 or size 2, and just get a settler out quickly for an early second city. Other civs, other leaders who aren't imperialistic actually have difficulty matching this now, because in the first 40 turns they can't match output to an imperialistic leader that does that. Doesn't matter if you're expansive or what, it's actually quite difficult to do that. However, the other one, and that's what I'm going to do here, is actually go for a 2 worker start and then immediately throw out 2 settlers. There's a way to do it so that you get the 2 settlers on turns 21 and 22. And the reason that that's okay to get 2 settlers with only, so you'll end up with 3 cities with 2 workers, is because of the order that you can hook food up in. Now, there will be 1 food at the capital, and there's already 1 food over here that you can see that actually you can settle for, that's not a problem. And again, you're creative so that you can settle for the perfect dot map. So I'm actually going to end up settling my second city on this Plains Hill here. And there will be another city, the 3rd city will be down here. So anyway, the first tech, which is actually the more, oh, screw religion, who cares? The first tech you research is actually hunting. A lot of people would go bronze working first. Some people might go for pottery, for wheel to pottery, or might go for animal husbandry, whatever. Actually, hunting here is the best thing to go for, and you wouldn't know it until next turn. And that's because I'll settle on to the banana scout, is that there's a ivory there. Now the ivory is a very good tile. It's a 1-3 tile at the moment, 1 food, 3 hammers. With a camp, it's a 5 yield tile, 1 food, 4 hammers. And with imperialistic, the hammers stack up quite quickly. Some people who go for bronze working and try to chop, well, this is quick speed. You only get 13 hammers per chop. If you get that ivory will be improved by about turn 14, 15, which means that I'll get the yield from a chop by turn 30 just from camping that ivory. I'll also get additional happiness, meaning I could slave harder. I don't actually end up doing it because it's very hard to slave. It's very difficult to slave a lot on quick speed and stack up the unhappiness. Something you can do on normal speed, but not on quick, because it's only 6 turns for the unhappiness to wear off. Anyway, I'll go on for hunting. As you can see, I'm building a worker. Worker first is always the right choice. I say that, I know, I'll take that back. There's maybe 2 instances where settler first works. And if you've got to get warrior first, you're fucked anyway, so it doesn't matter. So anyway, keep on going. As you can see, borders pop, work the ivory. You've now got 4 yield capital tile, 4 yield, and then working a 4 yield the first labourer. So very quick worker. I am actually just scouting with the warrior just because it's easier to keep track of turns when I do stuff like this. Anyway, I also go wheel second. This is where things get a bit weird. I tried several times going bronze working second and using the worker to chop this forest as the 3rd action. So farm, camp, chop. And it actually gets a bit difficult with the workers because with the worker micromanagement, because it limits where you can, like the times, you limit basically where you can settle the 2nd and 3rd cities when you do stuff like that. Turns out that copper pops over here, and that actually it's okay if you want to settle for this copper, but if you settle for this copper, the only food's sheep, so you've got to get animal husbandry, you can't get pottery, and there's limits. So I actually like settling for this corn and the corn over here, because I don't need animal husbandry until after pottery. So anyway, I do wheel second, because the micro gets a bit funky. Anyway, keep on going. And I'm finished with the worker. The worker immediately does that improves the corn. I actually don't start growing now. I want to keep on working that ivory. It's a 4 yield tile. I don't want to grow and only use a 3 yield tile. I need 14 food to grow. Normally it would take 3 turns to grow this using a 6 yield tile, but because of the additional food from the banana, I can grow in 2. So I'm going to spend the next 3 turns working that ivory and then grow in 2. So I'll grow in 5 total. I do not finish this worker for a short while. I actually grow to size 3. Finishes next turn. Now I do bronze working. Oh, actually, Control A. You see now that I could finish the work in 3 turns, making 8 production a turn. Food hammers. I'd overflow some out. Well, if I overflow out of a worker, I'm only going to dump it into a warrior. I don't really want that. I tell a lie. There are reasons I would do that, but for the purposes of this scenario, I'm not going to bother doing it. I'm going to grow from Beijing to size 3 before I finish this worker. I'm going to grow on that warrior. It'll take a grand total of 4 turns to grow. In that time, I'm going to improve that ivory so I can work it at size 3. I work the floodplain, so I again make 8 food per turn. Total, well, 12 total, 8 left over, growing 2. It is obviously possible to get the worker out much quicker than what I'm doing, but I don't need it out any quicker. Yeah, grow. It's fine. Now I produce. Now go off the worker, off the warrior rather. I'm now producing 12 a turn. Finish that in 2 turns, and I'll overflow out again. This is where things get a bit interesting, because now, as you can see, if I had not researched the wheel, I could easily move the worker to the forest, chop it, be fine. But because I've gone wheel first, I don't have the time to do that. Rather, I don't have bronze working, I can't do it. So I've got a few turns that I can actually put roads down. This is important because the 2 preferred city sites are here and here. Well, actually, I settle the northern one first. But to get a settler to both those tiles, I actually need roads down. If I get a road on this tile, I can move it immediately onto the plains hill without wasting a turn. So I can get this. So for 2 worker turns with that road, I can save 1 turn on the settler travel time. The same for over here, because it would move to here and then here. But with a road on the floodplain, which I'm going to do now, I can move the settler to here and then immediately settle. So I'm going to move the worker onto the floodplain, and I road it now. And I'm going to carry on building bronze working. This might be where things get a bit... Okay, I'm going to hit Control A, because it doesn't matter which worker does what now. Now what I do is I actually road that plains tile, because that's the one I said that helps get the second. Okay, yeah. The seconds get the settler over to plains tiles now. I build the settler for a single turn here. I do not complete it. I am simply going to build, dump the overflow in, and that's it. Okay, I then move the worker onto the forest, the forest hill. That's absolutely fine, and I finish the road. Now I'm not going to keep on building that. I actually need to grow this turn. Move back onto these, and I move off the ivory. I want to grow in 2 turns. Yeah, that's the right way to do it. I finish bronze working. I can revolt this turn or next turn, it makes no difference. To the micro, move 1 worker onto the silk, and chop with the other worker. I actually want to research pottery next. I don't need animal husbandry for a few turns, and it's more important to be able to make cottages and to build a granary. Okay, I chop on that silk. The workers are currently staggered chopping. Normally you don't want to do that, especially on quick. Normally you want both workers to finish chopping on the same turn, so you only need to build a settler for a single turn in a city. So that means that you can focus more on growing and you can get to the next pop size one turn quicker. But in this instance it doesn't actually matter because I'm not finishing one settler, I'm going to finish two. Now I go back to the settler and the chop comes in. Now I'll move the move the warrior. One chop comes in. Now I won't finish the settler this turn. However, I'm going to slave and work the ivory. That means I've already overflowed out 14 hammers already from the slave, because of the chop and everything. But I'm also going to produce extra now. It means that with the additional chop, I'll finish another settler next turn. So it's turn 21. Some people very easily could have gotten out a second city now. Not quite a third. But I'm working two very good tiles, a 6 and a 5 yield tile. I've got the roads down to enable a quick transit of workers to save a turn on travel for both of the settlers. That's great. I'm moving this one up here first. The reason for this is the worker here that finished chopping first can actually road this turn. And I finished the second settler quite a lot of overflow. I'm not even sure if I actually need that additional chop. I haven't actually gone through and checked all of the micromanagement, but I'm just putting it in there. I actually think I do need it, but nothing special. But anyway, next turn that settler will move on to the worker. The worker will finish the road. Turn after, I settle here, and the worker immediately goes to farm. So it's better to settle in this order than it is in the other. The other reason is that I have to wait for the borders to pop from this city here anyway, so I can road I can road to get the trade route in place and still get the worker in position to improve the corn immediately. So anyway, the problem is that now I actually have to turn down tech because I'm about to settle a new city, and it's going to cost me. I road this tile and then move the worker to here, road cancel, and then I improve the corn, and then it moves back. Fits in, just as I said, fits in fine. Scouting out those things. Okay, let's see. Build a warrior. One of the things that you'll notice is that there's a load of AI warriors walking around. In a play-by-email game, nowadays we play with scout starts. Now that means that there's no chance of a starting warrior walking in and raising cities, imbalancing the game. This actually makes it very difficult to do for warrior combat to take place because it's very hard. People find it very hard to get into the mindset of actually spending hammers on warriors early on. A lot of people just don't build any at all, and that's what I think is one of the problems for this little scenario, is that people don't build warriors and they don't even allocate hammers for warriors. Now in a multiplayer game against other humans, that's normally not the smartest thing to do. I don't think you can actually create a scenario or create a micro plan for 30 turns and stick to it. It's good to figure out what you can and can't do, but realistically I think that I would have to have built more warriors in this game if I was against humans and not just doing a little micro plan. So, but anyway, I'm going to build a warrior in Shanghai. I'll build a warrior in the second city. I'm actually going to build a third worker in Beijing. The reason for this is that I don't want to build a warrior. Reasons I've just said. I know I should, but I won't. And I can't build a granary, and I want a granary in that city. Anyway, carry on going. 24. Settle a new city. Zhao. Improve the corn. Pull the warrior. And just to point at tech now, I can pretty much get it done in time. So I'm going to go back to, yeah, Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out if I can run 50%. I can't run it without losing half. I'm going to lose it either way, so I'm going to get pottery this turn. That's pretty much it, I think. You'll see I've not done any real micro for these. Actually, I've already made a mistake. I'm going to reload just to show what it should have done. What I should have done is when I settled Guangzhou, I should not work the corn, I should work the floodplain because I get the additional commerce. There's no trade routes in Shanghai though, because the roads are done this turn, but it will grow next turn. Trade route is in place because the road is already done here. Warrior, so yeah, there we go, a little bit of replay. Oh, no, that was a mistake. Was 4 short last turn that I put up. I'm not strictly speaking sure if I actually can get it in one to get pottery in one turn. Next turn as 4 short. Well, it's a micro plan, so I might as well just see what happens if I do it this way anyway. Yeah, you come up 1 beaker short, as I thought. Realistically, I'll just work the silk for this turn. I don't think it makes it much difference either way. But there's always room for optimization, and this is one of the scenario, like one of the little bits where you can actually look at doing that. But I want pottery this turn because I want to immediately cottage with this worker. So anyway, I'll just do that. And then I'll move over onto the corn, which the worker will now improve, and that's that. Third worker will immediately cottage that overlapping floodplain between two cities. That is the tile that will always be worked. The other two will be worked very shortly, but I've got to grow the city first to do that. Anyway, animal husbandry, 4 turns. I've only got enough gold for 2 and a bit, so I'm going to save gold for this turn, and then that's it. Control A again. That's pretty much it for the turn. Warrior just fought in place, it doesn't matter for this. Again, I ought to build a warrior, but I'll build a granary. Animal husbandry, I've now got enough gold in place to research it. Now 27, 28, 29. I would finish at end of turn 30, but I'm not going to. Obviously, this scenario only runs up to turn 30. No, definitely do that. Yep. Okay. Guangzhou again grows back onto the grows onto that floodplain. This worker moves onto the grassland, and I hate doing that. It actually cottages and cancels. Next turn it'll move back onto this grassland and cottage that and cancel and then move on to the floodplains. Doesn't matter which city works the cottage, but I'm going to use Guangzhou to do it because there's 2 floodplains that Beijing can already use. There's something that I should know here, but I actually don't. There's the avoid growth option, which is something that I would use here. I would work the floodplain this turn, and next turn I would 1-pop whip the granary. I would end up though at 16 food total, so, and this city would actually grow, but I think I need to turn on avoid growth to stop it from breaking, or rather to optimize. But I could be completely wrong. I don't fully understand that mechanic. end turn. And what I do here with the workers is I actually keep them separate. The reason for that is because I'm whipping Beijing, I don't need it. Need that tile improved immediately, especially because I don't want to grow. I want to avoid growth. So it won't be improved next turn to be used, but it will be improved the turn after, and the workers will be on like one tile further north and be in better position to then carry on in cottaging grassland instead of having to waste worker turns. But anyway, that's a quick little run through to get to turn 30. Site 6 population in 3 different cities. 2 cities grow next turn with 1 granary about to be done, and a size 2. Yeah, and Shanghai is in a decent position. Actually, if I move the worker over here to finish roading that grassland, you see that I'm about to hook up that sheep as well. Yeah, animal husbandry's done. If you look at the tech situation, you see that pottery, animal husbandry, bronze working up, like agriculture, hunting. There's like pretty much every single necessary tech there. I don't need fishing at all. Don't need sailing. Don't need archery. Any of this stuff. But the best thing that I would actually say about this is that it is completely unfeasible. And if anybody tried to do this in a real multiplayer game, they would be running the risk of losing because they do not have any strategic resources. They have no warriors or anything. So for the purpose of seeing what it is possible to do with a start, this is a nice little test. Good way to test your own skills, but it's not representative of what someone should do or should try to do. The biggest problem playing this out is actually trying to work out where the copper's going to be. I already went hunting wheel bronze working. I actually think that bronze working first is the right choice strategically, so that you can see where copper is, so that you can figure out if you need to rush out a second city to get it. Also, there's no way in hell you would realise there's a banana where there is one, and you would not have settled it. You're much more likely to have actually settled the capital where Shanghai is than anything else, because you would move onto the Plains Hill. That still keeps the corn. You could potentially have moved onto that Plains Hill here or here and had the floodplain and that. But whatever, in this scenario that's not what you do. This is the end point that I come to. I think it's reasonable. A lot of people will do different things, but I think this is pretty reasonable. Some of the options, for example, trying to get a slightly earlier second city but a much later third city, run into problems with worker allocation and don't necessarily... And you don't really see the advantages that those strategies bring out, which is that with an earlier second city, you can get out another settler or workers out of that city earlier. In a 30-turn scenario like this, you won't see those advantages come to fruition. But then again, being imperialistic and getting out that third city so much sooner, like 1 turn after that second settler, I mean, I don't think it's... I think that is actually much stronger. Anyway, it's taken me half an hour to do this. I hope it's been informative. I will be going back and taking screenshots and posting about how to do this later on, but this is the run through via the video with the dictated comments, I suppose. Anyway, have a good evening.